Good evening, traders, and welcome to BCI's evening market analysis. Starting with the US dollar, markets are awaiting the release of the Federal Reserve's July meeting minutes early on Thursday morning. At that meeting, the Fed kept rates unchanged. Powell also acknowledged the slowdown in US growth during the first half of the year, and while the labor market is still stable, he repeatedly highlighted downside risks. His comments on inflation, however, were much more optimistic than actual data suggest. On tariffs, Powell described the impact as more of a one-off shock rather than a lasting driver of inflation. Overall, we don't expect the minutes to shift markets in a big way. Turning to crude oil, WTI futures for September delivery closed last week down 1.7% at 62.8. Although the US and Russia signaled some progress in weekend talks, the underlying reality hasn't changed. As long as the conflict in Ukraine continues, energy flows remain constrained. Even if peace were reached, Europe would be unlikely to resume Russian imports quickly given sanctions, pipeline politics, and contract risks. For now, the war premium in oil may have eased slightly, but now not enough to alter the market's pricing of energy security. Finally, onto gold. Last week's PPI data came in hotter than expected, and the one-year inflation outlook ticked up slightly. That pushed gold lower at first as markets questioned whether the Fed would still move to cut rates in September. But we think the bigger picture hasn't really changed. The Fed will eventually have to balance fighting inflation with supporting growth. Gold remains in a broad range between 32.50 and 34.50, supported by a strong ETF demand, which has climbed to near 2-year highs. Looking ahead, the market will focus on July's core PCE release and the Jackson Hole conference later this month. Well, that wraps up today's evening market analysis. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more insights in the next update.